Everyone loves dashboards. Executives ask for them. Managers depend on them. Analysts build entire careers around them. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Dashboards are lying to you. Not because the numbers are fake, not because the charts are wrong, but because dashboards create the illusion of understanding. And today we're going to unpack why that illusion is dangerous. Let me start with a simple question. When you open a dashboard filled with KPIs, charts, trend lines, and percentages, do you actually understand what is happening in the business? Or do you just feel like you do? That feeling is powerful. Clean visuals, green indicators, upward arrows, growth percentages. It feels like clarity. But clarity and comprehension are not the same thing. Dashboards are descriptive tools. They tell you what happened. They rarely tell you why it happened, and almost never tell you what will happen next. This is the first problem. Descriptive analytics creates comfort, but strategy requires causality. Let's break this down. Imagine revenue is down 5% this quarter. The dashboard shows the decline clearly. It even compares it to last year. Maybe it segments by region. That is useful, but it does not answer the real question. Why? Was it pricing? Was it seasonality? Was it customer churn? Was it supply chain issues? Was it competitor activity? The dashboard does not know. It presents symptoms, not diagnosis. And too many organizations mistake symptom visibility for strategic intelligence. Second problem, dashboards oversimplify complex systems. Businesses are dynamic systems with feedback loops, delays, nonlinear relationships, and external variables. But dashboards flatten all of that into static visuals. For example, customer acquisition cost might look stable, but underneath that stability, marketing channels may be shifting dramatically. Organic traffic declining, paid acquisition increasing, referral channels shrinking. The total number looks stable, but the structure is changing. Dashboards hide structural shifts because they focus on aggregates. Aggregates feel stable. Structures tell the truth. Third problem, dashboards encourage reactive management. When leadership reviews dashboards weekly or monthly, decisions become response-based. Revenue down, react. Costs up, react. Conversion drops, react. But high-performing organizations operate proactively. They model scenarios. They test assumptions. They simulate outcomes. Dashboards show history. Winning strategies require foresight. There is a massive difference between monitoring and modeling. Monitoring observes. Modeling anticipates. And most dashboards are monitoring tools. Fourth problem, dashboards create metric addiction. When a metric becomes visible and tracked consistently, it gains psychological importance. Teams start optimizing for what is measured. If customer support is measured by ticket resolution speed increases, but quality might decline. If marketing is measured purely on lead volume increases, but lead quality might deteriorate. This phenomenon is known in economics as Goodhart's law. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Dashboards amplify this effect because they make metrics public and persistent. Fifth problem, dashboards detach numbers from context. A conversion rate of 3%. Is that good? It depends. Industry benchmarks, customer segment, product life cycle stage, pricing strategy, marketing channel mix. Without context, numbers are meaningless. But dashboards often present them as self-explanatory. And executives make decisions based on incomplete context because the visual presentation feels authoritative. Let us go deeper. There's also a cognitive dimension. Humans are visual creatures. When we see charts, our brains process them quickly and intuitively. That speed creates confidence. But rapid comprehension is not deep analysis. Complex systems require slow thinking. Dashboards promote fast thinking. And fast thinking increases overconfidence. Now, I'm not saying dashboards are useless. They are extremely valuable, but only when used correctly. Dashboards should be entry points, not conclusions. They should trigger questions, not replace them. When revenue drops, the dashboard should initiate investigation. When churn increases, it should initiate root cause analysis. When margins shift, it should trigger structural review. But in many organizations, the dashboard meeting becomes the strategy meeting. That is where the problem begins. True analytics maturity moves beyond dashboards. It includes 3 additional layers. Diagnostic analytics. Instead of asking what happened, ask why it happened. This requires drill-down analysis, segmentation, cohort tracking, and causal inference techniques. Predictive analytics. Instead of asking what happened, ask what is likely to happen. This requires statistical modeling, machine learning, and scenario simulation. Prescriptive analytics. Instead of asking what will happen, ask what should we do. This requires optimization models, decision frameworks, and risk evaluation. Dashboards sit at the first layer, but many organizations stop there, and they wonder why their analytics function does not create competitive advantage. Because visibility alone does not create advantage. Insight does. An insight requires interpretation. Now let us talk about your role as a data professional. If your value is limited to building dashboards, you are exposed to automation. Modern AI systems can generate dashboards automatically from data sources. They can recommend visualizations. They can even summarize trends. But interpreting structural change, understanding business dynamics, designing experiments, evaluating trade-offs, that requires human intelligence. If you want long-term leverage, move beyond visualization. Learn causal thinking. Learn experimental design. Learn business modeling. Understand how pricing affects demand elasticity. Understand how customer lifetime value interacts with acquisition cost. Understand how operational constraints affect growth. These are strategic levers. Dashboards show the surface. Strategists analyze the engine. There's another dimension we must address. Data quality. Dashboards are only as good as the pipelines feeding them. If definitions are inconsistent, metrics will be inconsistent. If data is delayed, decisions will lag. If tracking is flawed, trends will mislead. Many executives lose trust in analytics not because dashboards are visually poor, but because numbers change unexpectedly. Trust erosion is fatal. Without trust, analytics becomes decoration. So governance, standardization, and clear metric definitions are not technical details. They're strategic foundations. Let me give you a practical framework to evaluate any dashboard. Ask 4 questions. First, what decision is this dashboard designed to support? If the answer is unclear, the dashboard is noise. Second, what action should change if this metric changes? If no action is defined, the metric is vanity. Third, what assumptions sit behind these numbers? If assumptions are invisible, risk is hidden. Fourth, what leading indicators are missing? If you only track lagging indicators, you will always react too late. These 4 questions transform dashboards from passive visuals into strategic instruments. Let us zoom out again. In the intelligence economy, the competitive advantage is not access to information. Information is abundant. The advantage is interpretation and execution. Dashboards provide information. Leaders must provide interpretation. Systems must enable execution. If you remember one idea from this episode, remember this. Dashboards are mirrors. They reflect the past. But driving a business by looking only in the rearview mirror is dangerous. You need windshield visibility. You need side mirrors. You need sensors. You need navigation systems. Analytics maturity is not about prettier charts. It is about deeper understanding. So the next time you open a dashboard, resist the temptation to feel informed. Instead, ask harder questions. What is changing beneath the surface? What assumptions might be wrong? What structural shifts are invisible in these aggregates? What experiments should we run? That is how you move from reporting to intelligence. In the next episode, we will talk about another critical topic: how to turn data skills into income streams. This is AnalyzerMode. See you in the next episode.